How would a retail store look different if it ran like a boutique hotel?
That's a good one. We did a lot of work with luxury retails and retail stores. And actually one of our customers that we worked with had this mission of bringing hospitality to retail. Attention to detail is certainly one. Okay. When you run a retail shop, you want to look at the details. And details can be your floor mat. Is it clean or is it dirty? How many doors have I walked through and the doormat was filthy? Leaves and crap and rubbish. First impression. You only get one occasion to make a first impression. And first impression is seconds. Okay. So that's one. I'm not saying all hotels are doing well. But I'm saying a lot of retail shops could probably, improve. So attention to detail and search of excellence. That's a generic, but give it your best. Okay, give it your best is really try hard. Don't do impossible things if you can't do it, but try hard or try harder. We worked for a company actually, and one of the values of the whole company was plus 1%. Sounds ridiculous. It's a value, it's plus 1%. But the idea behind it was you do the next time you do the same thing, you do it a little bit harder or a little bit better, or at least you give it a try. People will see this. They will see that you try. That's enough, You can't succeed every time, but if you try, people will see this. I enter shops. I had an example. Again, these are daily examples. I entered a shop a couple of days ago with my wife, went shopping. The sales are going on. You come into the shop, nobody says hello. How can I help you? How are you today? Simple things. Then you start looking for, I didn't. My wife started looking for things to try, and there's no help, okay? Because it's sale. So because it's sale, it's cheap, we don't help you. Why? And then when you leave, you pay, you left a little money or money on the table. Nobody was there to say thank you. Try hard, search of excellence. The problem with hospitality, again, is every single customer, we have to do it again. So you sell 250 coffees in a day, 400 coffees in a day, you have to do the same thing every time, 400 times, okay? So it's different to some industries, but give it your best, okay? That's and then create an atmosphere of happiness, safety. People want to feel good. Okay, you enter a shop, retail, you want to feel good. You don't want to feel the pressure, buy, you need to buy. How can I help you? Push. A lot of people react negatively to that, okay? Obviously, the shop, they have targets, they have incentives, they need their retail commission, all of that is true. But I dare to ask, if I feel safe, will I spend more or less? If you push me, will I will I sell or buy more or less? Good question. And it's not by pushing that you will not get more money out of my pocket when you push me, And I'm not the only one, okay? And that's the thing also about service, I'm not the only one. A lot of people like what I like. So when we go to companies, we ask a lot the question, what do you like? So we tell, when we enter in a diagnostic phase in hotels or in companies, we say, okay, we want to discuss with your people. We want to know what they like. So we send sometimes when we worked with a couple of retail stores, we said, okay, go and see the competition, or go somewhere in a luxury environment. Well, how do you feel? So we asked them also, what do you feel? What did you like? What did you not like? And then we asked the question, well, if you like this, how about your customer? Yeah. Same thing. And of course, the most difficult of all is smile, And it's a funny thing, smile. I love smile. I love to talk about smile. Smile is cheap. If I smile in Russian, in Flemish, or in French, you can understand me. Even Chinese, if I smile in Chinese, you can understand me. But it's here. It's, do I want to smile? Or do I invite you to smile? If I have a job that I don't like, if I work in an environment that I don't like, I'm not inclined to smile. There's rare people that will smile in adverse conditions. But people that smile, they give something. Okay, there's a message with smiles about customer service that's fantastic. Yeah. And it's no investment. But it's coming back to radical hospitality. It's saying, okay, when I assemble a team, and I know the market today is complicated in a lot of industries for finding people, but give it your best at finding the people that will match what you want to convey as a company to your customers. It's mindset, Some people will smile, some people will not smile. Okay. So when given the opportunity, who do you hire?
Yeah.
Okay. Especially when you have customer-facing functions. We worked a lot also on assembling teams. You have introvert people, you have extrovert people, you have people that are very good at helping people, you have people that are very good at details, at making reports, at analyzing. So where do you put these people within your organization? If you have the choice, that can also help in the customer
part of the team.
Service part.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and we all know, as we talked about service, the concierge in hotels, the grand boutique hotels. So what can a bank learn from a concierge level service?
I think banks as such, they are very focused on processes, on compliance to deliver. Unlikely concierge, for me, it's more like a fixer, someone who looks how can I achieve the result in a spontaneous, more agile while, without having the procedure, etc., where comes more creativity. So I think banks can be more spontaneous on that level, like a concierge. They can play more on the outcome, which is at the end a happy customer.
Yep.
That's what they want. It's not just like delivering, which a machine can also do.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let you replace by the machine, but it's giving this extra to the client. And I think banks can learn from that. Yes.
More of the human part.
And not only banks. I mean that for other industries as well. It's not just about compliance and the processes and here you go. I think it's that extra human dimension which is important. Yeah.
I'll give you an example of a bank. We worked again. We were active in the banking world a little bit, and I was privileged to be able to sit down in a private banker's conversation with his customer, as part of the mission that we had. So I sit there and I sit with the customer, and I was allowed to ask questions to the customer at the end. And I asked the customer when he left the conversation, okay, did you understand what he wanted? Nope. Okay. But I trust him. Okay. So I asked the banker, did you get what you wanted? No. Because the customer had about 180,000 on a running account, which was not doing anything. Now, the aim for a bank is not to have money laying around. The aim for the bank is to sell to a customer bank products so that the bank can make money. But the guy didn't buy because he didn't understand anything of the banker said, but he trusted him. Mm-hmm. But he was thinking, leave my money alone. And the bank didn't get anything. So nobody was happy out of a conversation. But the guy, blah, 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 blah. And the customer sat there listening. That's not enough. Okay. And I know they have legal requirements, procedures, and what have you, but it's about, and then we talked to this bank and they actually added service excellence as one of their five company values. And all their processes have been rethought. It took a long while, but all their processes have been rethought are we achieving a customer's objective and therefore the bank's objective? And that's good. The customer's objective and therefore the bank's objective. Whereas, are we achieving the bank's objective and the customer will be happy? Slight difference. Yeah.
It's funny. You mentioned that about what saying, blah, 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 blah. So this was also for a bank. And the way how the banker introduced himself to the customer for a mortgage was to talk about himself, the bank. So there were different steps that you had to do along. And each time there was a repetition for each client. And if you went to another branch, they did the same. So there was very little spontaneous, and yeah, that's exactly what I say, that they are too process driven and not so much human driven, spontaneous. So I think it goes along.
And one of the things we all make mistakes in, for example, is use specific language. We know the medical world. Sometimes I enter into a doctor and I'm more worried coming out than going in because I have some itis, that I don't know. Yeah. But we all use technical language in hotels, in banks, etc. And the people don't understand it. Yeah. So one of the things that we, when we talk to customers, one of the things we try to tell them is, well, why don't you change your language to language that people can understand? They're not dumb, but they don't understand. We take shortcuts. We have a word, we know what it means, everybody happy. But I talk to owners today, or I talk to clients today, and it's hard because it's really a conscious effort. I try hard to use language that they understand. I don't think of them or I don't give them the impression that they are stupid, but I want to make sure that they understand. Okay. And when people understand, they feel more comfortable. And when they feel more comfortable, then, exactly. So.
And an insurance company, how could they benefit from empathetic, human-first communication?
The purpose of an insurance company is not to pay. We know this, okay? Now, the main thing I think they can improve on is communication. How do you communicate this? How do you make it clear for the customer? Now, I have one example of a big insurance company. They created a new policy, and I think that was spot on. They said, everything that's not written is covered. Whereas until before, it was look at the fine print. Okay, so they were very clear. They had 1 or 2 or 3 pages, all the same lettering, and they said, okay, everything that is not written is covered. I thought that was fantastic. From a customer's point of view, it was spot on. So yes, you give the customer the responsibility to check. Obviously, the seller has to explain, but I thought that was fantastic. Okay, sadly, I have not seen it with others, but that is something that it could be more of. How I know their purpose is not to pay, fine, because that's their business model. Okay, they cover you for risks, and they will pay in certain instances, etc. But our general perception of insurance is they make it complicated. Well, in this case, they didn't make it complicated, and that's one thing that I want to add in this discussion also is to say some of our mandates is about simplifying things. Things have become overly complicated. A lot of companies, more procedures, and even more procedures. We've seen it after COVID. It became more complicated and more complicated. We actually had mandates where we entered the company, and our mission was, how can we make it simpler? How can we make it easier for us to work? And, Europe is saying the same thing. Governments are saying the same thing. We have so many rules, it's stifling. Okay, it's not promoting entrepreneurship. It's not promoting interaction. It makes things complicated. So simplification is certainly something that within good customer service is something that needs attention. And the advantage of having people from the outside do this when we enter companies and we look at their procedures and all of that, an outside view will see more things than if you are from within, because from within you've created the system has always been there. Some people are afraid to change from within, etc., etc. So I think that's a good thing that can come from an outside perspective. But simplification for me is very much part of the customer.
Get partly blind for your own mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and we mentioned before as well, communication is also key. If I contact an insurance company, it's mostly for a problem and something went wrong. So there could be some empathy in the communication. As an example, whether it be good news or bad news, that can be personalized, the message, and not just a standard message, as an example. But in general, I think, speaking the same language, it's important. Assuring that my customer understands what I am saying without much complication, and I, as a customer, can also speak with my insurance company without much complication, to make it frictionless, to make it instant, maybe even with a mobile app or just very simple. So I think that's important as well, to have a great client experience as an insurance company.
Understandable.
Yes, absolutely.
But how can the medical world profit from the hospitality insights?
What happens in hospitals or in the medical world is you give out all initiative to somebody else. At the moment you enter a hospital, you relinquish any decision to somebody else, the medical world, the nurses, etc., etc. People don't like this. Okay, people don't like this. And then I see areas for improvement in this customer journey where it could be beneficial to give some initiative back to the customer. Now, one example, I know it's going to sound ridiculous, but in Switzerland, we worked with a couple of hospitals, a couple of very good private hospitals. We worked for a hospital group in Abu Dhabi and some others, and we brought in hospitality snippets within the customer journey. And one of the things is choice of meals. One of the things was Switzerland, for certain procedures, there's nothing wrong with, a glass of white wine. Okay. Now, there's one famous clinic in Switzerland, there's a wine list. You can invite your family, there are big rooms, etc., etc. It's actually a hotel with a hospital bed, whereas, it's not a hospital with a hotel bed. But they allow you to invite your family, they allow you to invite your friends. If you had, I don't know, there's certain procedures where you can say, okay, why can't I have my glass of red wine, white wine? I don't want to go there specifically on alcohol, but I want to say the choice of meal, for example. How can you make a meal more pleasurable for the patient? We all have this thought of hospital meals being drab, boring, tasteless. You can work on texture, you can work on colors. Broccoli, okay, for certain patients it's not okay. For certain patients it's okay, it's vibrant, it's green. Obviously, if you cook it into oblivion and it becomes a brown pulp, then, I don't want that broccoli. But you can work with texture, you can work with colors much more than what happens today. We come back to personalization. That will require some attention from the staff, maybe work on smaller batches of food, but giving back some initiative to the client in his hospital bed. Today I want to eat this. Oh, it's my choice. I choose this. Whereas, sadly, we see it enough. There's also a matter of budgets, obviously, in hospitals, but it's, for me, first and foremost, mindset. Somebody in a hospital could benefit from thinking a bit more, not patient, but customer. Okay. Now we need, I'm not doctors, they have a mission, let's not talk medical, but let's talk non-medical. And I think non-medical can benefit from some hospitality aspects for sure, to make it simpler, easier, more enjoyable. You don't want to be in a hospital, but why not? So, yeah.
Well, to add on that, Pierre, I would also say that if you create a warm atmosphere at your hospital, home feeling, it has also been proven by studies that recovery goes much faster as where you don't have. So I think it's an important aspect of hospitals that the clients feel good, feel welcomed, feel pampered in a certain way in order to proceed with the recovery. So,
and you feel more safe.
I feel more safe as well.
Hospitality in hospital, why not?
Yeah, hospitality, being hospitable is taking care of people with the heart as well. Yeah, indeed.
And why do you think some industries resist customers' centricity?
The sad thing is that some companies think that is financially not necessary. Let's face it. I mean, some companies are convinced that doing the extra mile, financially not worth it. Okay, it's not worth investing in people. It's not worth, because people buy anyway. That's true to a point, but all companies have facing competition. Even if you have a monopoly today, may be different next year. Okay, we worked for a company that was in a monopolistic situation. They were an energy supplying company in a country where competition was not existing, but 5 years before competition was going to open, they already started the thought process of saying, okay, we are going to prepare for when we are no longer alone on the market. And they were fantastic, visionary people. So we worked a lot with them. And they created a model that, for me, when they are going competition free next year, they are going to be ready, because they have prepared their teams, they have prepared their services, they have prepared the whole company towards tomorrow people have a choice. So we want to keep and remain their choice, their first choice. And it's all about mindset, etc., etc. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there, yeah. No.
To pick on that, I think, monopoly, of course, you have maybe the luck not to be so performant in the service. But sooner or later, you will compete only on price if you work in a competitive environment. I give the example of Ryanair. So, well, it's known that there are many complaints for the airline company, but they compete on price. It's their business model and it works. And they say in advance, you don't pay a lot, you don't get a lot. If you want more, you pay add-ons.
Yeah.
So it's a very clear business model, but they compete only on price. Yeah, if that's the business model, okay, you should do so. But for, let's say, 95 to 98% of the companies, it's not like that in a competitive environment. So
Well, I don't think we're going to work for that kind of people, or that not that kind of people. Correction there, but for that kind of business model, because when we're talking service excellence, when we're talking all the things that on company culture and hospitality, that's a business model, but it's certainly not the field, and we couldn't add any value there. So that's not where we're going.
It's all but hospitality.
Yeah, but it's a business model.
it's a business model.
Choice.
So
As long as you're clear on that.
Exactly.
absolutely, that's your positioning in the market, and that's fine. And there are other examples who do different, who also work, but